And now, here's your host of Shaping Success, Wes Tankersley.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Two Nobodies Who Know Nothing on the Shaping Success Network with myself, Wes Tankersley, and Robert Watson. What's going on, Robert?
Good morning, happy Monday, and happy holiday. I hope you got the day off.
I do not. You know, it's funny, in the services industry, you seem to have to work on some of these holidays, and this is one of those ones where I've got a couple appointments today. I've got a few things going on, so we'll get a cabinet I got to install in the living room and a couple other things, but 2 appointments and work.
There you go. So ran across an article you get a kick out of, right? Weight loss drugs could save U.S. Airlines $580 million per year.
Interesting. You gotta chuckle at that, because I think it's funny, because every time you get on an airplane, it's about weight, right? Like your carry-on, the amount of weight you can put in your baggage, all that stuff. Even down to the fact, I remember, I don't know, it's been probably quite a few years, but there are some people who have to buy 2 seats because they don't fit in one, which is just, I hate airplanes, period. Or commercial flights anyway, but I always have to I'm a big guy, and I'm sure you're the same way too, and not just like big this way, but big this way. So when you go and you sit in one of those seats, your knees hit the back of the chair and the person in front of you, and that person always wants to lean forward, and it drives me insane. So I always end up trying to, number one, I hate flying Southwest because their seats feel like they're about 2 inches narrower than everyone else's and 2 inches shorter because they're trying to stuff as many people as they can on there. And then it used to be you'd have to wait in line and then hope that you get a seat that you want, because you always want the one that faces the other way by the exit door because there's more room there. So does everyone else, even the short people.
Yeah, there's a couple funny stories off this, which is worth saying, but it's the 4 major airlines, and it was a study by Jeffries and Company that basically said they could save, because of GLP1’s, they could save approximately $580 million per year because, again, of weight. As a pilot, we're very, very concerned about ramp weight. We're very concerned about takeoff and fuel usage and all that kind of stuff. But the funniest story so I'm doing a flight into Houston Hobby with my flight instructor. It's kind of my last little things I've got to do. And so we pull into an FBO, and there's these beautiful Citation jets, all this private Lear, all the gorgeous, gorgeous private jets, right?
Yep.
And I'm sitting over there looking at them, and he's sitting there looking at the Southwest Airlines, what I call a plane or a bus. It's not really a plane. I'm looking at luxury. He's looking at the bus. He's looking at the bus going, I can't wait to fly a bus. And I'm thinking to myself, why? Okay, good. Thank God you're there and you want to do it. But I was looking at that luxury going, ramp weight. We're not concerned about ramp weight. We want 8 people to fly in complete luxury with their feet up, right?
Right.
Completely different worlds.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's you think about like all the more people on there, more problems, more issues, more whatever. It's kind of funny to see how that all works, But
it's
go ahead.
But it's funny because I always bring it up. It's always about incentives and consequences, right? The incentives are for people with taking GLP1s is they get to lose weight without actually having to monitor necessarily what goes in their mouth or how much workouts they do. They're kind of getting a way to change their system so that it helps them. And I'm all for it. But remember, the incentive for them is they lose weight. Well,
Right.
The consequences of those incentives as they lose weight, we don't know what all the health consequences are. But there's some downstream consequences. One of the downstream consequences is airlines save money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. They're probably going to start paying advertising for GLP1s to get more people to be on them so that they can lose weight and then not have to they can put more people on there and get more money for their tickets. So it's insane.
Yeah. But again, it's always about incentives, right? Everything in life is about incentive. I mean, that's what you do when I heard a guy say something really cool about sales. He said, no one likes to be sold, but everybody likes to go shopping with a friend.
Nobody likes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nobody likes to be sold, but everybody likes to go shopping with a friend. So if you create that relationship and that tie, and you're just going shopping with a friend, it's fun.
Yeah, and that makes sense because that's the whole reality of that scenario is as a salesperson when you go in there, and there's a couple different types of salespersons, and we know them all, right? Like we've been involved with all of them. There's the person that comes in and pressurizes you. There's a place called RC Willie here. I don't know if it's nationwide or not, but it's in Boise. They're out of Utah, and you walk in there and every guy's got a suit on and every guy walks up to you. What can I do for you? Make sure you find me if you're going to buy anything. I'll take care of you. Like, so if you're the first point of contact with them, they get the sale, they get the commission, whether they sell it to you or not, because they're the one who made the commission. So it's almost like you're going into a car lot and the people are standing outside, And I think it's funny because I buy a lot of Hondas. Like there's this Honda dealership in Nampa close to here that I go in there every single time. Well, I don't try to, but you use the same salesman every time. Most good car lots will have a CRM or some sort of way of tracking the people that you use. And when you use them, you're pretty much their salesman for life unless you say, no, I don't ever want to deal with that guy again, but I still want to buy a car from you. So I walked in, I don't know, my wife and I have been married 25 years. And so the second Honda Accord we bought from a guy named Bart. And Bart worked there, and we had gone in and got caught by one of the guys standing out front the first time. And I didn't really like the guy, and he was a young kid and he wasn't doing it very long and he couldn't really help us out. And we wanted a bunch of things that he said, oh, we couldn't help you. We're trying to buy a Honda Civic. And then we go in there 2 months later and we talk to Bart and he sells us a Honda Accord. Well, a Honda Civic, everyone knows, is the cheaper car. Somehow, some way we were able to get in the more expensive car. But the other guy couldn't make that happen. Well, fast forward 10 years later, we go back in there to trade the car in. And I talked to this one guy, and you don't forget a name like Bart, right? Like, I'm like, oh, whatever happened to Bart? He sold us a car one time. Like, does he still work here? And lo and behold, 5 minutes later, Bart is sitting next to us across the table. And I go, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that to you. Because the guy obviously makes money off a commission. He goes, no, this is the way we do it. And it doesn't matter if it was 10 years ago, if it was 2 years ago, this is your salesperson. So come back around and you're with that guy again. And so that's how they kind of look at things. But it's always one of those deals where I remembered that guy. He made an impression on me. He's the person who made it happen for me when I didn't think it would happen. And so that's how I remembered him. When I sell something, it's the same way. It's like you're trying to make that impression. You're trying to find a way to make it memorable. And, we're just selling window coverings, but you're trying to make a way so that they come back. And it's not like, like giving them the best deal ever. It's building a relationship, building a rapport, helping them to know that you're not just there to sell them something. You're there to, make an impression and educate them and teach them. And hopefully they learn something, even though it's just about window
shopping
coverings.
with a friend.
Exactly.
Shopping with a friend.
Yep.
One of the things about this article on weight loss drugs, here's what threw me. 1 in 8 U.S. adults said they were taking a GLP-1 in the November survey. Mm-hmm. 1 in 8 Americans are taking a GLP-1? Holy crap.
It's interesting. And I will tell you that I did that for a little while before I had, last February, I had to have, so I had gastric sleeve 10 years ago, I think. And I had to have a bypass because I had GERD really bad, super bad. And I hadn't gained all the weight back that I had before I had the sleeve, but I had gained some weight back. And that was part of the problem. My doctor said, hey, weight loss will help with GERD. So if you want, we can try this. And I actually went on one, and it didn't help with GERD. It didn't get rid of the GERD, which is why I had my sleeve converted to a bypass, because of the way that your stomach, when it becomes a sleeve, it has a lot more acid in it, and that causes you to have GERD. But that doesn't surprise me, because I think that there's a lot of people who use it for different reasons. It was made most GLP-1s like Ozempic and Wegovy were made to treat diabetic people, and they found out that it had a byproduct of helping them lose weight. But most people just want an easy way out. And it's funny listening to Adam Carolla talk about this. It's not always about an easy way out, I don't think. But I think that there's so many people who use that. So you notice, like, when you see this, all these movie stars were the people who were using it because they can afford it. And it's not affordable. So 1 in 8 seems kind of like, if you think about that overall, that's not very many people. But there's the 1 in 8, there's so many people that are getting it that if you can afford it, then it's fine. But if not, I stopped using it when my insurance couldn't cover it anymore because it is
Wow.
expensive. It's like $1,500 for a month's supply,
Wow.
and they're billing your insurance that much, and it's insane. But it's not a fix all. You have to do the other things as well to help make that happen. It just, what it does is it helps you to be full with less. Like, it keeps your body from absorbing the food fast, so it stays in your stomach more, so you're full longer, because they have like this type, some people like will eat a lot and then it'll just go straight through the system, right? So they have more room. And they always say, well, it takes this long for your stomach to digest it. It's just basically making your stomach digest at a slower rate so that you're full longer, so that you don't eat as much.
Gotcha. Well, our solution to staying in good shape is my girlfriend and I, my fiance and I, share a meal. We split
Mm-hmm.
everything.
Yep.
And when I say we split, we really do split. And I'm twice her body size.
Right.
So it really does, but it keeps both of us, because that's less of what she wants, and it's darn sure less of what. And to be honest with you, we're always full, we're always happy, and the portion sizes in America are, to be honest with you, are so ridiculous
Right.
that we really do need. In many cases, we need to split the meal, because it's like, you get this giant plate, and you're like, oh my gosh, where am I going to put that?
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes a huge difference. I mean, we have a uh, love-hate relationship with food
Yes.
as a culture.
I think that that's the thing. I'm the same way. Like, I sit there and I look at it. If you really want to know, and this is, I've struggled with my weight my whole life. You don't think about it when you're younger because you're moving and, things just seem to fly off for the most part. So you eat a lot. And then as you get older, you start to realize that you're not moving, you're not exercising. I spend, probably 75% of my time in a car. If I'm driving 2 hours one way, I'm driving 2 hours one back. That's 4 hours of my day driving in a car. So I'm not actually moving. So then when I am moving, it's from my car to the door, from my car to the door. And that's not very far. That's not very much exercise. And it really has to come down with diet and exercise. I'm trying to think of who it was. There's a comedian who used to say, I can't do that, I'm fat. And they're talking about how they're fat and why they're fat. And it's like, I think it's pretty simple. You put more in this hole than comes out of that hole. I mean, it really is. And to split a
Yeah.
meal, like, I do that with well, here's the funny thing is, like, there's all these things that they tell you to do. If you go into a restaurant and say, hey, can you just put half in a box and bring me the half? I've heard that's a way to do it. They almost always will tell you, well, yeah, but we'll do it after. So just only eat half and then we'll put it in after. And it's like, no, you're not helping me by bringing the whole thing out, because if the whole thing's there, I'm going to eat it. And splitting a meal, you have the ability, like, you may eat a little bit more than what your significant other has, but you're going to eat not as much as you would if you had your full meal. And my wife
No
and I have
question.
a hard time with it because I don't eat the same things that she does. So we'll go to a restaurant. She really likes this one thing and I really like this other thing, but she'll make the negotiation with me to eat what I like because we want to split it, right? So that's always the tough part too. It's like, bring us a smaller portion, because that's the problem. It's not the amount, or it's, it is the amount, but you could make that smaller. What most people don't realize is what they are eating. Like, if you think about it, if you go in and you get the metabolic rate calculator and you figure out what your metabolic rate is, the amount that you actually will burn sedentary, so not moving, like I'm talking about, where I'm in a car, I'm not moving, I'm not burning anything extra, it's usually around 2,000 calories a day that your body burns on its own. So if you look at the intake, because now this is why they have the nutrition labels, right? How much a serving is in something, say, I'm trying to think what I was the other day, like, you can look at it and you can go like 150 calories in a can of soda. It's probably more. I think it's like 210 in a can of soda if you drink non-diet soda.
Mhm.
210 of 2,000, right? That's 10% of what you're supposed to intake. So you drink 3 of those. Drink 3 sodas a day. What have you done now? Now you go and you eat a meal, and I can guarantee you there is not one meal that you eat, unless you are very conscious of what you're doing, that is under 2,000 calories. You have to have a decline to lose weight, right? So like you have to eat less than what you burn to lose weight. That's how it works. And it's very simple as saying that, right? You put more in this hole than comes out of this hole, then you're going to have a problem.
Mhm.
It's
No, it's very true. We were talking the other day about one of the things with age is not in more sedentary lifestyle for us is not really about weight gain because we're fine with weight and keeping it off, but we have the problem with our muscles being tight and stuff
Mhm.
like that because again I run every day, I row every day, I do all these things every day, but I go from very active to sedentary, from like 0 to 60 back to zero.
Right.
And when I get to zero again, it's like I get up after an hour and a half of doing work and all of a sudden I'm stiff everywhere.
Yep.
And it's like, oh gosh, now I've got to go stretch, I've got to go do this and that. Why? Because again, as you get older, blood flows different,
Right.
right? Yeah, it's the oddities of life that like you say, you have to adjust to age. You have to
Hmm.
adjust to different things. It's very challenging in some cases to live the lifestyle we live in and to actually be healthy.
Yeah, and it goes back to this conversation that I was listening to the other day that we were talking about the this is going to sound weird. I'm thinking about this whole scenario though, but they were talking about
Mhm.
the men and women's lockers and how the best thing to do is to just stop having PE, right? That way we don't have this scenario. The men can't go in the
Yeah.
women's locker room, whether you identify or whatever you is, and you can't go in the opposite sex locker room, right? We'll just stop having PE. Okay. Well, if we stop doing that, then we live a sedentary lifestyle, then we have more obese people, then we have no one making that deficit, no one learning how to do that. So what's the answer to that then? It's kind of like, oh, let's just practice. You don't have to have PE. You can just get your kids a gym membership, or you can go and tell your kids to go play outside and not teach them how to do any of these activities that they can lose weight in, and they can do that. It's a double-edged sword. We have to be active. We have to move. I think about like David Goggins and how he talked about how you're talking about like movement, right? And how you go out after sitting down for an hour and a half and how much it hurts, right? Later.
Mhm.
If you want to know if you're out of shape, go do something that you haven't done in a while. I mean, an example of this is me moving, 10 yards of rock in a wheelbarrow with a shovel, and you find all these points in your body that hurt because you haven't used those points anymore. So it's crazy. But David Goggins, a guy who runs all the time, and your body adapts to whatever you're doing. So he runs all the time, changes the anatomy of his body by constantly pounding when you run. Just like I'm sure this is the way you are. If you went and you looked at my knee before I had the knee replacement and your knee, the cartilage, your cartilage may be a lot harder than the cartilage in my knee because I don't run all the time and you
Mhm.
do. They're breaking scalpels when they're trying to fix the cartilage in his knee because it's decided his body has learned that this is the way it's going to react, so it's stiffened and made it that way. Now, if you don't run, that's not going to happen, but if you do over and over again, that could be a problem. And my sister-in-law says the same. She tells me the other day she runs all the time, and I'd be interested to ask you about this because she goes, well, I go to the doctor and with back problems. She says you got a back of a NFL lineman or NFL player. It seems like that's been tackling all the time. And I was like, I can guarantee you it's from the running because when you run, your spine collapses and goes up and down. Every joint in your body moves in a certain way. And she just kind of laughed at me, and I was serious. It's like running can do that if your body can't
Right.
adapt to it, or it's not created to deal with that blow every single time when you're running and compressing and contracting. It's interesting.
Well, one of the things that I was told years and years ago when I was having lower back problems because of playing tennis, the massage therapist said, here's the issue. You're using your lower body and your core is not tight enough. So what it's
Mhm.
doing is it's displacing. And the result for that was I built a strong core. So
Yeah.
I don't have lower back problems. But because I have a partially torn ACL in my right knee, I have left hip problems
Right.
now because my I don't have 100% range of motion on my right side because I lost a little bit. And so everything's always compensating, but because I pounded every single solitary day, the inflammation in my hip is always there.
Yeah.
And so but again, I can't imagine not doing it because of all the other health benefits. So the little small trade-off is you're going to have inflammation in your hip. Okay, I can live with that.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing. It's like everyone is different. Everyone's body is different. Everything works in a certain way, and I feel like you have to be willing to do the work in order to figure out what it is to compensate. Back to David Goggins, he was talking about he had this issue with this bump on the back of his head, which was all due to stretching because he never stretched. He just ran. So if all you're doing is just running and not taking care of the other issues, it's not just, hey, it's great to go run, right? If you have knee problems, running downhill is the worst thing that you could ever do. Running on a flat surface is not great, but it's way better than running downhill. And if you want to make it even better for yourself, then you run uphill. And I had to learn how to walk again at one point with my knee issue because I went for like 3 months without walking on it and had a crutch. And I couldn't walk without a limp until one day my physical therapist goes, all right, listen, you shouldn't be limping anymore. We got to figure this out. So come here. Sticks me on a treadmill on a 30 incline and puts me in front of a mirror. And all of a sudden, because there's no pressure on that knee because I'm going uphill instead of downhill, no jarring motion, I could walk. And I figured it out. And it took me like 30 minutes on that damn treadmill, and I walked better when I was done. But you have to do the work in order to make that happen. And it may be something as simple as making an adjustment in what you're doing to take the pressure off of like at this point in my knee.
Oh, it's so true because what happens is, for example, the degree to which you run, right? If you run straight up and down, there's more hip action. But if you run slightly forward, right, like you do when you're actually at high speed,
Mm-hmm.
what happens is the pressure comes off the hip and everything exchanges into the muscles. It's no longer bone on bone, so to speak.
Right.
So everything is about gait and angles and again, you have to work yourself through all this kind of stuff. And that's, you know, what most people don't want to do is the work.
Right.
And
And
that's
that's
back to what you were talking about GLP-1 and all
right.
that is you don't want to do the work. And there is a lot of work to keeping and maintaining your body. We haven't even talked about, we usually talk about physical things. We haven't even talked about the mental aspects of all this, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's it. I mean, it's a mental game. That's exactly what it is. It's tough. It's hard to say. And I'm not saying that everyone loses weight the same way because I know damn well that that's not the way that it works. They have this thing called, I can't remember what it is, like set point or something like that. Like sometimes your body just like wants to be at this
Mm-hmm.
certain spot. And that's when people get in this, well, I've been exercising, I've been eating right every single day, and I'm not losing weight. Well, there is this exchange of muscle to fat, right? So fat never goes away, but the cells shrink. And as the cells shrink, you're building these muscle cells to be larger. That's what's happening. There is an exchange of the scenario. So like as you're building muscle, at some point, you're going to stop building the muscle, and then you're going to start the fat cells will start shrinking more. And that's it. It's just an exchange in your body. Your body's actually pretty smart, but it also very stubborn. So you have to figure out at what point, it could take you a year to get to that point where your body doesn't want to make any more muscle mass and want to start using the fat, or how you fuel it. Or I mean, it's crazy the certain things that you can do to change it. But people get discouraged when they don't lose weight, and I've been there. It's like I do all these things right for a week and nothing happens, and it's like, screw it, I'm going to do the wrong things on the weekend because it didn't work.
Yeah, and that goes back to things like habits and all that.
Hmm.
Realistically, I understand what people say. 30 days, 90 days to change a habit. No, that's not really true.
No.
To really ingrain things in yourself, you're talking about a year to 18 months. And people are like, "Well, I don't have the patience for a year to 18 months." You're right, you don't.
Yeah.
But you do have the discipline for a year to 18 months. And remember that motivation, and that's one of the big things people lose emotionally, is they look at motivation as being the key to getting somewhere. It's not.
Yeah.
Discipline's the key to getting somewhere. Motivation comes and goes. There's, hey, I'm really fired up. Like for me, it's really hard sometimes to go out at 27 degrees to go run.
Yeah.
It just is. I mean, my bed's warm. Why do I want to get up and go run? Well, because I'm going to go run. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't argue with myself. I just get up and go do it.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. You have to find that thought process. I mean, and you're almost to 3,000 days. Is that what it is? It's pretty
Almost
close.
to 4.
Almost to 4,000. I'm sorry. Like I see the numbers pop up across my screen. And it's like at
Yeah.
this point,
28 days away to
yeah.
4,000. Yeah.
And that's it. It's like you have to find the way to do that. The hard part with so exercise is, I feel like you can set that in motion. But you have to find the regimen. You have to find the process to make it work. The cool thing about what you do is like, I'm going running, get up, throw my shoes on, get ready, go. It's like, look at the weather app. You probably look at it the night before, figure out what's going to happen tomorrow morning, so you can set out the clothes that you need to set out, and then you get up and go.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why most people say the easiest time to do it is in the morning, because once you do it, it's out of the way. But if you wait till the end of the day, you'll be like, oh, I'm too tired, I'm not going to do it today. Eating is an all-day process, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
It's an all-day thing. So you're like, oh, I'm hungry right now, I can just grab something. You can't really just go, hey, I'm getting up this morning and I'm going to eat and then I'm done for the day. Some people can do that, but it's a harder thing to say no to throughout the day.
Oh, I totally agree. And I have tricks, right? Of course, I don't load anything in the house that I like to snack on
Right.
ever, because again, I'm no different than anybody else. Give me a bag of something that I love, and that bag of something I love, even when I do all the techniques in the world, will be gone in 5 days.
Yep.
So what do? Don't buy it.
Yep. And that's what
Yeah.
my wife and I, we've decided that, like we're going to start, well, I'm going to start. Today is actually the day. It's funny that we're talking about this today, because I need to, take a few pounds off. And I have found pretty good success with a high protein, low carb diet. I don't want to say keto, because it's not really keto. Everyone's always like, oh, I'm going keto. And it's like, well, there's different variations of what that looks like. But anyway, high protein, low carb, because that works for me. And, we go to Costco last weekend and we were talking about it. I was like, so now we start buying these things that we have, buying jerky, buying cheese, buying, those types of things that don't have carbs in it, and getting rid of the things like the chips and the, all those things that have carbs to get them out so that we don't have them in the house. Unfortunately, we have 2 children that are carb loaders. So you still got to have some of those things in the house, but we try to get things that we don't like and they do. And it's tough though. I mean, it is, no matter what. Like, I think the biggest thing that you can do if you think that you're on the right path and it's not your fault is to go look at write it down. I guarantee you, if you get a little small food scale, which are cheap, and you write down for like a week what you eat, you'll realize that if you base your diet on a 2,000 calorie diet, you're going over 2,000 every day, and you're wondering why you're gaining weight. And then do your BMI and track your calories and see how many calories you actually burn throughout a day. Most people have an Apple Watch and it can show you what you're burning throughout the day, or most people have some sort of smart tool, or even just your phone will track how many calories you're burning. And you trade exercise for calories, and you make sure that you're in a deficit, you're going to lose weight. But no one wants to do that because that's too much work.
Very true.
So, well, great conversation as always, Robert. We will be back next week, same time, same place. If you would like to support the show, please go to Patreon.com/Wes Tankersley. And as for as little $3 a month, you can support the show and help it keep going. This is Two Nobodies Who Know Nothing. Robert, thanks for hanging out.
Have a wonderful week, everyone.
Yep, we will see ya.